Costco and really what's differentiated that company in, once again, a very competitive market. It has to compete against Walmart. You might say it's a more of a niche market. Costco's occupying that warehouse membership club market. But let's briefly go through that process with Costco just to give our listeners, once again, some insight into what makes them so profitable and differentiates their brand in this very competitive market. And once again, let's start out with the threat of new entrants. I would say is low because it's a membership model, which means it creates a barrier to entry. New entrants will need to attract a substantial amount of customers to compete with the low cost Costco membership fees.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the membership model is brilliant. You don't see it in the industry. This is not typical, but by requiring that membership as being able to, shop in the store, you got that loyal base, like you were saying. So because probably a lot of our listeners are Costco members, and worldwide they're doing strong. You feel like you're kind of in a VIP club, right? Like you got this membership, and other people can't access that, and that gives you the access to the great deals, right? And so I think that's a real moat, I would say, in their industry. So I think that's a great competitive strategy for threat and new entrants. Absolutely.
Talk about bargaining power of suppliers, moderate to low. What I love about Costco is what Trader Joe's does as well. They do a lot of private label brands and they diversify their supplier base to minimize that supplier power.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, like Apple, they're a low inventory model. That's one way of minimizing those costs. They don't have storage costs, right? And so low inventory, low storage. They pass that on directly to the customer, and so it's very much the efficiency of their supply chain. They're like a well-oiled machine. And you mentioned the private labels like the Kirkland signature. What you've got high quality, low price. I mean, that's an unbeatable combination, right? So that gives them, by having that private label, the profit margins are a lot higher, and that's gives them a leg up in terms of the relative power of the suppliers, because they will always have their own products that they can sell, and of course they have the other suppliers, but they always have something they can fall back on. So that gives them some choices, right?
Absolutely. Bargaining power of buyers, moderate to high. Once again, Costco has a low cost strategy, so its customers are price sensitive. Any significant increase in prices could lead to reduced sales.
This is their model, right? This is the core of their model, is that they have the no frills store layout, right? Where you're kind of navigating your way. It's almost like a treasure hunt in Costco. You never know what you're going to find, right? It's always moved around different places. So everything has its place. Having that simple organization principle for the store, which is, not spending a lot of time placing everything and product placement, they can pass that savings on to the customer, and that's very important. The other thing that they don't spend money on is advertising, right? So they're really very low on advertising. Like if you were to compare them to Walmart, they're really relying more on word of mouth. And that's how people are always talking about Costco and what they found. And you go to a dinner party and you're like, oh, where'd you get that spread of cheese? Oh, well, that was Costco. So they use that word of mouth for the no frills shopping experience. And I think that keeps the low prices, high quality, which, gives them some leg up versus the buyer power, because people, I mean, especially with inflation, people were, making some wise choices, and Costco just sailed right through that because of their integrated strategy.
Completely agree with you. Next, threat of substitutes. You could argue that it's moderate. The membership benefits help to mitigate some of those threats of substitutes, but not all the way.
Yeah, one of the things that often gets overlooked with Costco, but they have a really generous return policy. And it's funny, I was at a chiropractor the other day, and he's always talking about air quality in our lungs and making sure that's all good. And he says, "Oh, make sure you buy it at Costco, because if it breaks down, you can just return it." I think that creates some efficiency vis-a-vis other venues to get the same product, because not efficiency, that's not the right word, but it attracts people that they feel reassured. Hey, I can buy it through Costco. If it's not going to work out, I know I can return it. It gives you that sense of confidence, that safety net. And that will take you away from competitors where you're not able to do that. So I think that's part of it vis-a-vis substitutes.
And the final piece is competitive rivalry, very high because it's competing against both traditional retailers like Walmart as well as online giants like Amazon.
One of the things I think about Costco is, in terms of their competitive rivalry, is the employee satisfaction. Satisfied, happy employees who are engaged in their work can be a great competitive advantage when it comes to that rivalry. Where do you want to go and spend your time shopping? I think that Costco and Trader Joe, they have different strategies, very different. We talked about that one before, but they both have a high level of employee satisfaction. You've got happy employees. What does that translate into? You've got satisfied customers. You enjoy being there. It's a nice atmosphere for the people working there. And they do that by, they have holidays for their employees that other retailers don't honor. They're generous. And that translates into really caring about the shopping experience for. So you're not having a great shopping experience in terms of this, store layout. It's kind of like a warehouse, but you are having this treasure hunt experience. You're also having, you never know what you're going to find, what bargains you're going to, but you're also having a pleasant atmosphere with engaged employees. And you know what, Charles? I think this is becoming more and more important as a competitive rivalry tool. So that's one thing that strikes me in terms of their rivalry, how they distinguish themselves from competitors.